is a type of medicine that trains your body to fight any foreign agent.
Plants are helpful for the ecosystem.
It's an electronic device for storing and processing data.
The nervous system is all the collection of nerves in your body.
Yeast is a eukaryote.
Welcome to Spectacular Science, where it's all about science, with your host, Akshay. Hey listeners, welcome back to this episode of Spectacular Science. I'm your host, Akshay. I'm just about to go stargazing. Wanna come? Great! Let's go out the door. Just walk. Open the door. Wow! Look at all those stars in the night sky! It's just amazing to lay down in the grass and just look at all those stars in the sky. Wait, how did those stars get there? How did this universe actually form? And is this universe still expanding today? Wow, that's a really great question. I bet you have those questions too, listeners. Oh, I know who I should talk to. I should talk to Dr. Paul Sutter. He's an astrophysicist and knows a lot about space and this universe. You know, I'll meet him at the observatory. It's just down the street. Just run there. Okay, wait for the crossing. Okay, run. Ah, finally made it. Oh, and there's Dr. Sutter. Hi, Dr. Sutter. It's great to see you here.
Oh, it's great to see you too.
So can you please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. I'm Dr. Paul Sutter. I am an astrophysicist, which means I study how stuff in space works. I'm a research professor at Stony Brook University and a guest researcher at the Flatiron Institute in New York City.
Wow, that's so cool. So how'd you get interested in science?
Oh, when I was a kid, like when I was your age, I was reading books about science all the time, non-stop. In fact, I still have a lot of those books that I read as a kid. And but here's something weird. I always thought that I wasn't smart enough to do science. It's true. I just really didn't think that all this physics and astronomy and cosmology, all this cool stuff that I was reading about, I thought that was done by other people who were smarter than me. So when I went to college, I went in computer science and computer programming to have a job. And 3 years in, I was just getting really bored. And I took a class in astronomy, and it reminded me how much fun I had learning about these topics. And the professor took me aside and said, "Hey, Paul, if you want to be a scientist, you can be a scientist. You can go into grad school and do it." And that moment changed everything. And I switched majors to physics. Got a bachelor's degree in physics, I got a PhD in physics, did research positions all around the world, and now I'm just having a great time.
Wow, that's so cool. So what is the Big Bang and how was the universe formed?
That is definitely a big question. The Big Bang Theory is our model of the earliest moments of our universe. And we know from direct observation, we know just by looking and by evidence and by data that a long time ago, our universe was a lot smaller and hotter than it is today. In fact, we know that about 13.8 billion years ago, our entire observable universe, every star, every galaxy, every speck of dust was once crammed into a volume no bigger than an apple and had a temperature of over a quadrillion degrees. And from there, it expanded and cooled, and galaxies and stars formed, and then eventually life arose. That is our story of the Big Bang Theory. As to where the universe came from, well, that's a much more difficult problem. The honest answer is we have no idea.
Whoa, a cliffhanger. So we know how the universe. We kind of know how the universe is formed. We have some theories, but is the universe still expanding, and how?
Yes, our universe is still expanding. We discovered this about 100 years ago. There was a famous astronomer named Edwin Hubble who first measured the distances to a bunch of galaxies and figured out how fast they were moving. And he found that all the galaxies were moving away from us. And that the further away a galaxy was, the faster it was moving away from us. And we put all this together to realize that every galaxy is moving away from every other galaxy. Our universe is getting bigger. Now, as to why, the work of Albert Einstein, famous Einstein here, he realized that a universe that is expanding is actually its natural state. For a universe to be static and everything in it to not be moving is actually completely unnatural, because as soon as one little galaxy moves, then that gravitational influence spreads throughout the entire universe and sets everything in motion. So it's actually more natural for a universe to be expanding than it is for it to be sitting still. Like if you kick a ball and it starts rolling down the hill, you wouldn't ask, why is the ball still rolling down the hill? Because that's its natural state of motion. Once it's started, it's just going to keep doing what it's doing.
Well, that's so cool. Like, it just keeps going and it just never ends.
Yes, as far as we can tell, our universe will just keep expanding and getting bigger every single day. That may change. We may be wrong about that, but all the evidence we have so far says that it will.
Well, it's just mind-blowing to think that we're just a tiny piece of this giant, ever-expanding universe.
Oh, yes, that's one of my favorite things to think about, is just how massive the universe really is.
Yes. So what are some mysteries that scientists are trying to answer about the origins of the universe?
Whew. There are a lot of them. There are a lot that keep us busy. We don't know. We don't understand the earliest moments of the Big Bang. When the universe was so small and so hot and so dense, our mathematical models break down, and so we don't actually know what's going on. We don't know why there's more matter than antimatter in the universe. All of our calculations show that these should be in balance, but it's not the case. There are some mysterious components to our universe. Like there's this substance called dark matter, which makes up almost all the matter in the universe, but we can't see it with light. We can only see the evidence for it from the way it affects the motions of stars and galaxies. So we're trying to understand what that's made of. And then this expansion of the universe that we just talked about, 20 years ago, we discovered that our expansion is accelerating. Every day, our universe is getting bigger and bigger. And it's getting bigger and bigger, faster and faster every day, and we have no idea why.
So many mysteries. Maybe one of our listeners could be the ones that actually find the answer.
I hope so. That would be awesome.
That would. So what advice do you have for kids who want to go into the field of science, and especially space science?
I would say if you are interested in science, just focus on the next step. So if you're in early elementary school, focus on getting good grades. Focus on making it into high school. When you're in high school, join some clubs that are interesting to you. Follow your passions. Follow your curiosity. Take some math or science classes or some computer programming classes to get some basic skills. Work on applying to colleges. And then when you're in college, be a good student in college and focus on what makes you happy. And you might be surprised. If you have a passion for science, you could end up in a career in science. You could also, as you're in college, discover that something else is more interesting to you. And so don't be afraid to change your mind and just follow your passions, follow your skills, and most importantly, follow your curiosity.
Whoa, that's cool. That's some really great advice. Thank you so much for talking to me, Dr. Sutter. I really enjoyed this, and I learned so much.
Oh, I had so much fun too. Thank you again for having me on.
Now, back to stargazing. Let's see if I can spot out everything in the night sky. Hey listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Spectacular Science. Spectacular Science is produced and hosted by me, Akshay. Our theme song is by Charan Ramachandran. Special thanks to Dr. Paul Sutter and Varun Ramachandran. And Dr. Sutter, I am very interested in space science, and this was amazing. I learned so much. Please visit my website, spectacularsci.com, to find interactive activities, articles, blog posts, and all of our episodes. That's spectacularsci.com. Please sign up for the Spectacular Science membership, where you can get the fact of the day, bonus episodes and activities, and even a science course. Sign up at spectacularsci.com/membership. That's spectacularsci.com/membership. Please contact me. Email me at podcast@spectacularsci.com. I love hearing from you. Please also follow or subscribe to Spectacular Science on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you're listening right now. By subscribing, you get all the episodes automatically and get notifications when new episodes come out. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of Spectacular Science.